helped him in his journey to a healthier, more fit life. So we're going to listen to him, and then Lisa A. Smith, who you probably all know is just passionate about nutrition. She changed my life when she was here August 1st of 2018 when I heard her back then. She talked to Fitness First members. And ever since I heard her, I changed a lot of the things I do. And I've seen the results in my life. And she's here to support everyone who wants to go on a similar journey. So with that, we're going to introduce Lynn and Lisa. Come on in.
My name is Lynn Smith, and I'm here to talk about kidney awareness. I was on dialysis for 7 years, and I've been transplanted now for 5. And what I want to talk to you today about kidney awareness, it's on the rise now. I was obese and had high blood pressure, and I want to show you a picture of me in 2007. I weighed 398 pounds. I was the life of the party animal, Coney Islands every night until September 2007, Labor Day weekend, I passed out. I passed out and I woke up in the hospital on dialysis. I had to lose 200 pounds for me to get the kidney. Now, well, this say 220, I weigh about 235 now, but I had to get down to the body index to get the kidney in 2014. And now I am about 230, 235. I had hypertension real bad. And one thing I want to talk to you about is this right here. This is really bad for you. This right here is salt. It makes your blood pressure high.
You don't take pictures.
Huh?
You gotta take a picture.
Yeah. And if you can melt snow, imagine what it can do to you. This right here, sugar. It's really bad for you. Put some of this in your gas tank, see what happens to your engine. What's going to happen? It won't start. If you do it, it won't start the engine. It won't start the kidneys. I'm going to have Lisa explain good nutrition and what it takes for this to work. There are more than 30 million people have kidney failure. More than 100,000 went on dialysis this year. There's 20-something thousand don't know they have kidney failure. Today, I want to talk to you about the awareness of it that's on the rise. There's dialysis units popping up everywhere, and we got to get knowledge about kidney failure. Kidney failure is on the top 4 with heart disease, hypertension, and obesity, and it's a silent killer, the high blood pressure. Okay? Now, I'm going to introduce Lisa Smith. She's going to talk about nutrition. And we got to have good nutrition. We got to leave the sugar and the salt alone. And for people maintain weight and exercise daily. Keep the blood pressure down and just keep acting. So I'm gonna turn it over.
Thank you, Leader. I remember the day I decided I wasn't going back. I used to be 65 pounds heavier than what I am now. And at that time, I was 190 pounds, and I was completely insecure with my body. I was really unhappy with what I saw in the mirror every single day. And in January of 2012, I decided to do something about it. And so at that time, I hired my first coach, and I started working toward weight loss, right? And my focus was on weight loss, and my focus was on aesthetics, and my focus was on what I saw in the mirror every day. So I started my journey for a completely selfish reason, as we all do and as we all should, right? And as I began to lose the weight, and as I began to get enamored with my body and loving what I saw again and being more confident in what I saw in the mirror, I started paying attention more to what it took me to get there, and moreover, the correlation with health, weight loss, and sustainability, and how that ties into nutrition. Because my coach didn't know much about nutrition. Tiffany was strictly a personal trainer and phenomenal at it. But as I began to lose weight, I realized the power that eating has on not only weight loss, but the sustainability of it. You know, I think it's roughly about 20% of people who actually lose weight and keep it off. Right? We've all been to a place where we can lose weight. We've all been to a place where we did something, tried something, kept at it for a few weeks. But the sustainability of the weight loss is what I believe is the hard part. So the day I knew I wasn't going back was a couple summers ago. I live in downtown Detroit, not far from the riverfront. And I came out my door one Saturday morning to take a jog. And I was just gonna do a quick jog before I had to go see some clients. And so I jogged down to the riverfront, and it's all of these people. Right, they're all gathered, you know, there's a big sign that says start. People have numbers on their chest, and they're all in their running gear and their workout clothes. And I remember approaching that crowd of people, and they were impeding my path to the other side of the trail. I was just trying to run on the DeQuinder Cut, and I'm like, what are all these people doing here Saturday morning? You know, just pluses of living downtown. You just run up on a 5K any time in the summer, right? So I decide, okay, well, since I can't get around these people, I'll join these people, right? So I run up on all these hundreds of people, right? And I don't know what they had gathered for. I don't know what they were about to run for. I don't know what cause they were supporting. I don't know what they were raising money for. I could have been supporting something I didn't even agree with. Who knew? All I knew was the guy got on the mic and told everybody to line up and get ready to start. So I did, like I belonged there. I didn't know if they had paid, if I was supposed to have a wristband, a t-shirt with some brand on it. I'm like, forget it. They're in my neighborhood. They're about to start running. I was already running. Let's run, right? So the guy says, line up at the start. We line up, and they just start. I didn't even know the route of I assumed was a 5K. I didn't even know the route. I said, I'll follow the crowd. So we're running down the riverfront. We hop on the DeQuinder Cut. We go all the way down to the DeQuinder Cut where it ends at Gratiot. And we start coming back. I watched everybody else turn around at a certain point. I turned around at a certain point. So I'm cracking up in my head, like cracking up in my head. You know, I just managed to steal a seat in this 5K. But I noticed the entire time it was me and this other young lady kind of pacing, going at the same pace the entire time. And we're staying with each other, kind of back and forth. You know, sometimes she'll get ahead, sometimes I'll get ahead. Whatever, it's no big deal. I'm just out here to have a good time. I got a client to see in about an hour. I'm just gonna run back home. So as we get to the turnaround point, what I assume was the halfway point, and we start coming back the way we came. And guys, the closer we got to that finish line, the more she started speeding up. And so the more I started speeding up. Now, of course, I had no intention in doing this in my day, but something competitive inside of me took hold, and all of a sudden I would be doggone if she was gonna beat me, right? And so I looked up. I've never ran track. I've never ran competitively. I've never done anything more than a 5. I did a 10K once, but I don't train. But all I know, it was knees to chest, elbows pumping. We are at an all-out run. The last few hundred feet of this 5K we just look at each other, perfect strangers, and all of a sudden, I didn't want her to exist anymore. And I'm pumping, and we sprint, and people, they had it set up so when people are approaching the end, they had like cheerleaders, you know, on each side. So people are yelling like, come on, right? I'm like, hope nobody noticed I don't even have a number, right? And we are pumping, and I beat her by like a split second, crossed the finish line, yelling. They were handing out bags of like goodies and stuff like that. Guys, I grabbed me a bag and went on home. When I tell you, it's still the funniest story to this day. I still don't know what the 5K was for. But I remember thinking after that time, like, wow, Lisa, you've come so far. You used to be 190 pounds. There's no way you could have ever done that before. I didn't plan for this. I literally just ran up on a 5K and decided to run it. And I remember thinking, like, I always want to be ready, right? And that's what it meant for me. We hear stay ready, stay ready, stay ready. And in that moment, I was ready, right? And it was one of the most phenomenal wins for so many reasons. But I was in that moment thinking, like, you've lost this 65 pounds, you've kept it off, but not only that, you're fit. Not only that, you know, you're mentally capable of exerting that amount of energy. You're completely confident, and I never wanted to go back. And so I've always taken that story and the importance of staying ready. I think Lynn mentioned just earlier that in order to even get the transplant, he had to lose 200 pounds. I don't know if you guys caught that. But the power in staying ready, you know, oftentimes we think about getting healthy for, you know, whether it's aesthetics or I'll do it when I have time, or, you know, there's not, I can wait, or I don't look that bad. I love to lose 15 or 20 pounds, but if it happens, it happens, right? I'm in no rush, right? But the importance of staying ready, because we never know what life is going to hand us. And if you are not physically and cognitively in a position to outperform your best day, then you can miss out on a ton of opportunities. You could potentially even lose your life if you're not ready, right? So let's talk about nutrition, because physical fitness is one thing. And a lot of us do a phenomenal job of getting in here and working out and sweating, and we really put our all into that workout, and we tell ourselves that's enough. We tell ourselves we can outrun a bad diet. We tell ourselves, look, if I did my workout, I get permission to eat what I want, right? But that's simply not true, right? It is not 80% diet, 20% exercise. They are quite equal. And so I want to explain to you today what whole foods eating looks like and how we use nutrition specifically to prevent and sustain health and prevent chronic disease. It's exceptionally important that we understand that everything that goes in our body does only one of two things. It either shortens life or it extends life. There is no in between. Everything you put in your body does that. So I'm a certified plant-based nutritionist, and full-time this is what I do. I speak and I teach individuals how to make the transition to a whole food plant-based lifestyle. So I'm going to start off first by defining what a plant-based diet is. Does anybody know what is a plant-based lifestyle? Somebody say I'm plant-based. What does that mean? Anybody want to take a stab? Fruits and vegetables. No meat. No animal products. Anything else? So let me ask you this then. Is vegan and plant-based the same? No. Okay, so what's the potential difference? You can eat meat?
You can eat meat.
On what?
On plant-based.
Okay, she said you can eat meat.
Or oils.
Carlene shaking her head. Huh? No oils?
Oils.
Oh, oils?
Yeah.
Present or absent?
Absent.
In a plant-based diet? Okay.
Dairy, plant-based does not really, it support dairy.
Mm. Okay. Okay, one more.
Not processed food.
I love it. No processed food is plant-based. Absolutely. So I always like to start by defining this, because there are some people say you can't eat meat. There's no process, just fruits and vegetables. So let me be very clear. By definition, I'm a plant-based vegan, which means I do not consume animal products. My diet is unprocessed. I don't indulge in refined sugar. And so my diet is essentially made up of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, nuts, and seeds. Okay, that's what my diet is, right? Now, a vegan diet is simply the absence of animal products. That's all it means. Vegan is just the absence of animal products. It has nothing to do with the quality of food per se. Ideally, it should, but people go vegan for many reasons, right? Not necessarily for health. People might give up animal products for compassion, right? Because they don't want to harm animals or the earth or the environment, which is a phenomenal reason to do it. But if you're intentionally trying to prevent chronic disease, if you're intentionally trying to lose weight, and most importantly for me, if you're intentionally trying to thrive cognitively, then a plant-based diet is what you're after. Meaning your food does not come out of a package. You are not eating Beyond Meat burgers and Impossible burgers and all these faux meat products that are available to us now, right? We are not indulging in anything that's not giving us nutrition. Right, so a lot of times when people think plant-based or vegan or just diet trying to lose weight, they look at their plate and they look at what's absent. Okay, I don't have any meat here, I don't have any dairy here, this passed the test. But I don't just look at what's absent, I look at what's present. It's the intentional presence of plants and not just the absence of animal products. Does that make sense to everyone? So we're quite intentional about what we are eating, just as intentional as we are as what we're not eating. Okay, so it's not just looking at a package and it says dairy-free or vegan. We're not impressed with those terms. I don't care what title you adopt, if you adopt one at all. I want to know how nutrient your food is, how nutrient dense your plate is. Okay, so everything we eat, I mentioned, either extends life or shortens life. And so when we talk about specifically kidney disease, one of the things we have to be mindful of is high blood pressure. High blood pressure led to Lynn's kidney disease. What causes high blood pressure? Salt, sodium. But what's going on inside your body? Stress causes high blood pressure, absolutely. Why is there more pressure to push the blood through the arteries?
Is the blood thicker and, the blood is thicker and, it's not thin enough to move quickly through the artery?
Absolutely. So the viscosity of blood is high, meaning it's coming out, it's pouring, it's moving more like honey as opposed to water. Slow, sludgy, right? And we want our blood to flow easily through the arteries, right? So what causes that sludge? Well, I'll tell you specifically in our diet, we are eating foods that are calorically high and satisfying. So we're not hungry, but it's nutrient poor. Right? And so we're not getting the proper oxygen to our blood, we're not getting the proper micronutrients to our blood, and so our processed diet, a refined sugar diet, and a diet that's really high in animal products is causing our blood to turn to sludge and requires more pressure to get through the arteries, right? And if we don't be mindful of that, or if we decide that a pharmaceutical drug will control our blood pressure as opposed to a lifestyle change, then we still set ourselves up for heart disease and potential kidney failure. So here's what a plant-based diet does. A plant-based diet is the only diet that has been scientifically proven to prevent and reverse heart disease. We know heart disease is the #1 killer in this country, yes? So heart disease, a lifestyle disease, even with all of the advancements in technology and medicine, is still the #1 killer in our country. How is that possible? How is it possible that with all of these phenomenal advancements in doctors and pharmaceuticals and drugs, we are still dying from what's on the end of our fork? Why is that?
Lack of taste.
Knowledge, taste,
Where our food is processed.
the way our food is processed. Absolutely. So every food company, there's only about 7 that controls all the food in the world. And he said lack of knowledge and taste. So our taste buds are designed to believe that if it's sweet or it's salty, then it's flavorful. That's what I like. I want salt, I want sweet. I need something comforting, I need something starchy. And so we believe that if our food doesn't taste that way, or if it's absent of one of those things, then it's not going to be tasty. And so that's where knowledge comes into play. So what if I told you that you can eat everything you love on a plant-based diet, it's just about making it with whole real food? Because when you go plant-based, or if you give up animal products, most people believe you have to eat what? I can no longer have pizza, I can no longer have tacos, I can no longer have burgers, it's going to be cold salads all the time. So that's where education comes into play. But when we talk about how can we sustain life, our plate needs to be made up of a couple of things. Number one, it needs to be extremely colorful. We have to eat the rainbow. So even if we eat healthy, most of us eat the same things over and over again. Our same 20 fruits and vegetables. We go to the market and we buy the same thing. Oh, I'm out of onions, I'm out of potatoes, I'm out of carrots, I'm out of celery, So if I said, oh, when's the last time you did some bok choy? When's the last time you did micro sprouts? When's the last time you did a rutabaga or a parsnip? When's the last time you ate the red bananas instead of the yellow bananas? When's the last time you got the rainbow carrots instead of the orange carrots? How do you diversify your plate? Okay? So I'm going to give you 3 ways to start making the transition to a plant-based diet to make sure you're maximizing your health. Because any drug you could ever take, if it's high quality, it's going to be extracted from a plant anyway. And the problem with the drug, the problem with the vitamin, the problem with the supplement is that it's not molecularly complete. Meaning, in this country, we believe that if a little bit is good, a lot must be better. Right? So I can just take a vitamin C pill or omega-3 pill. I can take a multivitamin, and it's gonna be really potent, and it's gonna give me everything I need because I don't eat right. So if I take a multivitamin, that'll make up for what I don't do. That's 100% untrue, because your body does not absorb vitamin C from a pill or a supplement the same way it does from a spinach leaf or kale or orange. Those are 2 separate molecular structures. So when man comes in and disrupts the molecular structure of the plant, and we try and isolate and concentrate one substance out of that plant, it completely changes the bioavailability in our body. Does that make sense? So when we try and take a man-made drug or supplement or pill, it is not the same as eating the food. And so we have to do the behavior change because we have to eat the food. That's how we know not only that the dosage is right, sometimes those pills are too concentrated, the dosage is too high, and we know that not having enough iron is just as bad as having too much, right? Not having vitamin C can be toxic at a level. You can drink too much water intoxication. So we can't subscribe to the thought that if a little is good, a lot must be better. If you just eat the food, Mother Nature has put the amount in that plant, in that fruit, in that vegetable, the solid amount you need with all the other micronutrients in the proper dosage. Does that make sense? Okay. So 3 things we need to do in order to begin making the transition to a whole foods plant-based lifestyle. Number 1 is water. Very simple. How much water should we be drinking a day? Half our body weight in ounces. We've been told 64. But it's half our body weight in ounces. This is for the average person. Some people have conditions where they have fluid retention. They can't have that much water. The average person, half your body weight in ounces per day, guys. Not per weekday, not on the weekends, not when you're off, not when you're not on vacation, but every single day. Water is exceptionally important because it's one of those things that our body does not store. Our body stores many nutrients, but water is not one of them, so we have to replenish it every single day. Most of us are chronically dehydrated because not only are we not drinking enough water every day, but then we're either coffee or tea, which are diuretics, right? Or caffeine, maybe it's even coming from pop, right? Or our diet is so acidic. Our diet is so acidic that it's absorbing even more water out of our bodies. So most of us are chronically dehydrated. How many people are getting half their body weight in ounces per day intentionally every day? Very good. And so a couple things about water. Room temperature is best. Out of glass is preferred. Spring is best if you're going to ask what type. And you ideally, this is exceptionally important, want to consume 20 ounces within 30 minutes of waking every day. 20 ounces of water. You do that? Good. Very good. 20 ounces within 30 minutes of waking every single day, non-negotiable. It's going to get your bowels moving. If you have food addiction, it's going to start resetting your taste buds and increase your metabolic rate by 30%. But the consistency is what's key. Water every day. It's going to get your bowels moving. The most important thing that water does is it's actually a carrier for nutrients throughout your body, right? Because we live not on what we eat, but on what we digest. What that means is your body's ability to extract nutrients from the foods you eat and disseminate them throughout your body is highly accelerated with water. So that water is exceptionally important. Any questions about water? Okay, very good. Step 2, second thing, yes sir.
I'm sure you've heard about a lot of cucumber water.
Yes.
Lemon water. Can you speak a little bit on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can add real food to your water. Cucumber, lemon, mint, and frozen berries. Real food. No powder, nothing that's, I don't even care if it says no sugar. It's been sweetened with the sugar alcohol that they don't have to label with sugar, okay? So it needs to be real food only. Very alkalizing, absolutely. Any other questions about water?
Lisa, you said, I will give that word, is it retrain taste buds?
Correct.
And
Yeah.
then what was the other, because I missed that one? It was 2 things.
And get your bowels moving.
I got that.
Okay. Metabolic rate increased by 30%.
Okay.
Yes, how quickly you break down your food and turn it into energy so your cells can make ATP. So most of us, our taste buds are dead from salt, oil, and sugar. And so in order to overcome those food addictions, we have to begin to retrain our taste buds, because moderation doesn't work. Moderation doesn't work because we crave what we consume. Meaning as long as you consume it, you're going to crave it. Not just food, anything, whatever issue you have. As long as you consume it, you will crave it. And so if you need to get over food addiction, sugar, salt, oil, those are the top 3. SOS is what I call them, salt, oil, and sugar. Then if you have to get over those, you have to abstain. You cannot do moderation. You can't do just a little bit. You can't say, then, we love our addiction language, right? Everybody got to die something, right? Everybody needs at least one vice, right? Balance all the addiction language we use to keep on eating this poison. So water is going to begin to undo that, unravel that, right? So we have to start starting our day with coffee with inflammatory dairy and sugar.
You said at least 20 ounces.
Within 30 minutes of waking.
That's usually.
Yes, okay, yes. Yeah, every day. It's going to be one of the best things you do for yourself. Yes, sir.
Now, like you got problems with
Right, you're right. Right. Oh, we live in a capitalist society, so it's a market for it. Yeah, yeah, they will monetize anything that we're willing to buy. Yeah, you said, why is there so much bottled water now? Because convenience, people are on the go, and so anything that we can limit the amount of energy that somebody has to put in to do work, people will pay for it. Monetization, welcome to America. Okay. Any other questions about water? Step 2 in making the transition to a plant-based diet. Unprocess your diet. I haven't touched your meat yet. I haven't touched your dairy. These are what I like to call universals. I don't care who you listen to, who you get your information from, who you subscribe to, what title you want to call yourself. Everybody agrees. Water and no processed food. What is processed food? And I want to insult you by intelligence, but sometimes people are not clear. What do I mean when I say no processed food, unprocessed your diet?
Packaged food. Most of the things are in or out.
Packaged meat, in or out, she says.
Things treated with preservatives.
Absolutely.
Canned goods.
Yes. Yes. So, number 1, processed meat specifically, and this is your cold cuts, your lunch meat, your breakfast sausages, your hot dogs, things that you barbecue, whatever, is a type 1 carcinogen, i.e. it causes cancer. Okay? All processed meat. So your turkey lunch meat sandwiches, Lunchables, the meat that comes in the can, anything that has a shelf life is preserved. You don't want your food to be preserved, pre-seasoned, or pre-cooked. Your food should not have a shelf life longer than you. Everything you eat should be rotting, period. Real food rots. If it's preserved on the shelf, it is preserved in your body. Your body does not break down synthetic chemicals. It is foreign to your body. So if you're eating something that has a shelf life, that is a problem. There's something added to it so that it can sit on the shelf until you decide to spend your money on it, right? It's all business. We lose money if this product doesn't last until somebody buys it, right? So we have to preserve it. That is a problem because the synthetic chemicals used to preserve it are killing us. Not only that, they've literally spent millions of dollars to decide what flavorants, synthetic flavorants to add to the food so that you constantly crave it. So this food is highly manipulated, quite intentionally, so that you cannot stop. You can't eat just one. Your hunger hormones are hijacked. Ghrelin is what tells you you're hungry. Leptin is what tells you you're full in your brain. That is cut off with MSG, for example. When your food has MSG in it, your hunger hormones are hijacked and you can't stop eating. So when you eat food that is processed and preserved, that's what happens. I'm sure all of you have experienced overeating, not eating because you're hungry, just because it tastes so good, right? Right? We all got our thing, right? We all got a monkey on our back with something typically. So understand that this is quite intentional. And our job and our brain loves comfort zone, repetition, and familiarity. So when we think about behavior change, it becomes even more difficult because now we have to override the system. Because our job loves comfort because it keeps us safe. When we have routine and familiarity is safety. When it's unknown, when it's difficult to do, our brain typically likes to talk us out of that within 5 seconds of trying to make a change. So it's our job to constantly override the system. So when it comes to these high-powered foods that have hijacked your brain and your taste buds, I need you to understand that it's laying the foundation for chronic disease. And the issue is, unfortunately, when we take a bite of fried chicken and barbecue sauce and ribs and all this stuff or sugar, we don't drop dead. So we think, I can do this for 20 or 30 years. What's happening is, every day, you're taking micro doses of poison. You're just microdosing yourself, right? And setting the foundation, right? We know we can typically feel the problem if we, smoke a cigarette. We can feel it right away. Oh, it's messing up my lungs. I ain't breathing the same. We can tell when we drink too much. It doesn't make us feel good, head hurt, whatever, behavior erratic. But we eat a burger, we feel fine. We can still go on with our day. And so the severity of it isn't as heightened until we have an episode, and sometimes not even then. So I can't express to you enough, you're literally micro-dosing yourself with poison every day when you put this stuff in your body. And then most of us have nutritional deficiencies because the food, although it tastes good, there is no nutrition in it. I don't care what the package tells you, right? It's going to say enriched with vitamin B, enriched with omega-3s, enriched with vitamins. You know what enrich means? Added. Enrich means it had it, we took it out, and then put it back in. That's what white rice is. That's what whole wheat bread is. It's going to say enriched with the niacin, right? It's enriched. Why? Because we had to strip it. We stripped it of the fiber in an outer layer so that it can be more palatable and soft and cook faster so it can taste better to you. Then we went ahead and made a synthetic version of those vitamins and added them back in. That's what enriched means. So that's not sexy. We're not happy when we see that. Oh, this says it has all this. But did it come natural or was it added by man? Because those are not synonymous. Make sense? So when we unprocess our diet, we then eat foods where we get our micronutrients. Micronutrients are vitamins and minerals. Normally, when we are trying to lose weight or get healthy or whatever, most of you guys only focus on macronutrients. The macronutrients are proteins, carbs, and fat. How many people ever try to manipulate their protein, carbs, or fat intake? I'm going to go high protein, low carb. I'm going to go high fat. I'm going to go low fat. I'm going to go all protein, no protein, low carb. We only manipulate the macronutrients. The macronutrients, proteins, carbohydrates, and fats, are what gives food calories, and that's cool. But the micronutrients is what keeps you alive. We don't look at our plate and say, okay, magnesium, iron, potassium, got my electrolytes, omega-3s right here, boom, selenium, oh, this is great, right? We look at our plate, got my protein, okay, low carb, healthy fats, no fats. That's how we look at our plate. But we need to focus on the micronutrients, the vitamins and minerals, not on the macronutrients. So when we unprocess our diet, first of all, there's going to be no label to read because now you guys are going to be 80 to 90% label free. Does that make sense? The easiest way to unprocess your diet is by eliminating labels, period. That way you don't have to ask me, how many grams should I eat? How many carbs should this have? How many calories are okay? You don't know how many calories are in a red onion or a purple carrot or a purple potato or a rutabaga. You don't know, and we don't care because the micronutrients are what matters. That's not something you have to think about. So when you have a diet that's unprocessed, then that's when you begin to get everything you need. That's when we begin to reverse all of the chronic conditions that we suffer from because our body are fighting every day to undo the damage we do to it. We pour poison and toxins in our body every day, unintentionally and quite intentionally. And so our bodies are always fighting against us to get us back to a point of homeostasis. So our job is to give it the raw materials it needs to thrive. Any questions about unprocessing your diet?
Could you speak on tuna? Sometimes you see tuna in water, tuna in oil. What's your thoughts on tuna?
Okay, if you're gonna eat tuna, so I say no tuna. That solves that problem. But if you're going to eat tuna in water, okay, you're also going to eat tuna. Don't buy the 69-cent, 99-cent cans. Those are the lowest quality you could ever eat. Because if they're selling it to you for 69 cents, you have to know they're making a profit off of it. And it only costs them 2 cents to get it in the can. That's number one. Super low quality. But always in water. I'll talk about oil in a minute. And then, what are you adding to your tuna? Right? Are you making tuna like we traditionally do with mayo and relish and mustard? That's an issue as well, right? Because we will ruin a potentially healthy meal just with condiments. So what are you adding to the tuna? How high quality is it? And then portion size. Not portion size, frequency is what I'm trying to say, because it still has the potential for heavy metals in the tuna, right? And so the mercury could be an issue over time depending on how much you consume it. So I will be careful with what I add to it. If you're doing mayo with the egg in it, that could be possibly inflammatory. And then if you're adding relish to it, that's nothing but refined sugar. And then frequency, but always in water.
So you consider that in the processed food category?
Absolutely, 100%. Yes, sir.
What about, I don't have a problem with, as a consumer trying to find places to buy this healthy unprocessed thing, considering everything in my particular environment, the store fresh out there, is all processed.
Yes,
It's all geared towards me buying
absolutely.
a bunch of carbs.
Yeah.
You know, so I've been buying almost 60-some years. That's all it's been available to me in life. So what would I go to become a wise consumer?
What city are you?
I'm in this area right now.
Okay, very good. So, a couple of things. There are a couple urban gardens in the area that you can frequent. Eastern Market, I highly recommend. And a lot of the urban gardens and the community co-op gardens can deliver boxes of fruits and vegetables to you, especially now that we're getting into the warmer season. But even the local grocery stores have a produce section that you can go to still. It sounds like to me there's a little issue with accessibility, but also a little issue with education. Because if you've been eating this way your whole time, do you cook?
Yes.
Occasionally. Okay. So also coming to more classes like this and learning how to use the food you do have access to. So let me give you an example. So even though they say shop in the outside perimeter of the aisles or whatever, outside perimeter of the store, everything that comes in a package isn't necessarily processed. What I mean by that, it can be minimally processed. So remember I said you're going to be 80 to 90% label free. That other 10 to 20%, you're going to buy stuff that's in the package. Most of y'all not going to make y'all's pasta sauce from scratch. I know that. Y'all not going to grind y'all peanuts for your own peanut butter. I know that. Let's be realistic, right? So your peanut butter, for example, one ingredient. peanuts. That's it, right? So even though that's in the aisle, to me, that's still a whole food. I just paid somebody to grind the peanuts for me. I didn't pay them to add oil and sugar and salt, just peanuts. Beans, for example, just the beans. Raw. You know, we make beans from scratch. They come in a bag, right? I don't consider those processed, although they come in the bag. There's just one ingredient. Make sense? So there's your whole grains, your quinoa or your bulgur or your millet, right? Or your wild rice or your black rice. Even though it might come in a bag, it should still be the whole raw food that you're cooking from scratch. So your grocery store has stuff like that you can make from scratch. So we need to make sure you're educated on how to use the things you have access to, and then let you know where the urban gardens are and farmers markets are.
So you're not gonna be able to just take time and read what you want, basically.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And what I'm gonna do.
Particular spot, place.
Exactly. I can guarantee you can get something from where you go. And I live in this area too, right? But you're right. It's about, because we're used to just going in the market and going to our go-tos. We don't think about it. It's just, I'm out of this, let me replenish, right? And so people say, Lisa, where do you get this non-dairy? Where do you get this liquid aminos? Where do you get nutritional yeast? I'm like, it's in your market. You've just never been in the market for it, right? So it's education a little bit too. Right, no doubt. So when we break to do the couple of testimonies, I left the food in the car. I'm gonna go out to the car and get some groceries that I bought in and show you guys, so we can look at a couple labels so you can see what it means. Because the ingredients, so the things that you are gonna buy in a package, like your pasta sauce, the ingredients are nothing but the recipe. Does that make sense? The ingredients is the recipe. It's how we made this. So you should be able to duplicate the recipe. If you can't duplicate the recipe, it's not a whole food. So I have some pasta sauce in the car. I'm gonna bring it in. Tomatoes, onions, garlic, basil, sea salt, boom, olive oil. I can technically make this, but I'm gonna pay you, Prego, because I'm too lazy to do it myself. That's the only reason we buy packaged food. Not because everybody understand what I'm saying? So yeah, there's gonna be some things you buy in a package, no doubt about it. I do it too. But I am very, very, very particular about what I buy. I read every single thing, but I only care about the ingredients. I don't care about calories, I don't care about carbs, I don't care about nothing. All I care about the ingredient. If I see sugar, I'm not buying it, period. Period. There's certain things, I have what I like to call non-negotiables. The way I've been able to maintain a 65-pound weight loss is because I've established firm non-negotiables that I will never deviate from. Period. I will never put dairy in my body. You could not pay me. It's a non-negotiable for me. I drink a gallon of water every day. Non-negotiable. It's not up for debate. It doesn't matter what's going on in life, and my feelings don't matter. It doesn't matter how I feel or what I'm in the mood for. I do what I'm supposed to do because it's a non-negotiable for my health. And so when you read those ingredients, I want you to be able to look at it and say, oh, I could go buy tomatoes, basil, blah, blah, blah. I don't feel like it, but I could. I understand this, right? But if you were looking at the package of a frozen Stouffer's or frozen lasagna or a Campbell's chicken noodle soup, can you replicate that recipe? Do you know what that stuff is? Or even if you do know what it is, aren't you trying to get away from sugar? So if you see high fructose corn syrup in there, corn, rice, syrup, solids, whatever, anything that ends in an OSE is a sugar. Dextrose, fructose, maltose, anything in an OSE is a sugar. So are you educated on those to know what should and shouldn't be in your food? So unprocess your diet. Everybody understand that. I cannot stress that enough. I understand it's convenient, but it's killing us. And most importantly, I'm the head of the plant-based nutrition support group for Detroit, and we recently had an event in Birmingham where we had, all these people coming up on stage talking about their transition to a plant-based diet, and everybody had these phenomenal testimonies about reversing type 2 diabetes and obesity and hypertension, lupus, all this stuff. And so I was the last speaker, and I'm like, y'all heard enough of that. Y'all get it. Eating healthy, you can prevent chronic disease. You can lose weight. I said, but the biggest impact that eating in this way has had for me is on my brain. I cannot tell you guys how much sharper I am, how much more I'm thriving. You think about anxiety, you think about depression, memory. Number one cause of Alzheimer's, sugar, guys. It's not bad luck. It's not old age. It's literally refined sugar that snatches your memory away. Period. If you think you're getting older and you can't remember anything, I challenge you to take refined sugar out your diet and watch and see what happens. Right? I run 2 companies full time, 2 of my own health and wellness companies, and there is no way I could speak as much as I speak, teach as much as I teach, and recall all the information, have answers to you guys' questions as quick as I do if I did not protect my mind. So when I tell you cognitive functioning for me, I'm never going to be obese again. I'm not worried about it. It's not even nothing I think about. I ain't going to have high cholesterol, type 2 diabetes. That's not my story. I'm not worried about it. I've surpassed that mark where I know I'm taking care. But this means everything to me. Because up until recently, I never sold a physical product. I started my first company in 2015. I just released my plant-based foodie recipe book. But before that, and even still now, people pay me for what's in here. I literally sell what's in my brain. So I will be doing myself and you guys a disservice by not making sure I don't have access to it all the time as quickly as possible. But you might not even know how bad your brain is suffering because your body has got so accustomed to the toxins. You got so accustomed to not having a memory, not being able to remember anything, not sleeping well, suffering with mood disorders and all of these things, and you just think it's a part of life and it's something you have to suffer from, or you think it's your genes, right? Genetics play a role, but they're not it. The genes load the gun, but the diet and lifestyle pulls the trigger. So while you may be predisposed for those things, it doesn't guarantee you're going to get it if you do what you're supposed to do in and outside the kitchen. Make sense? Okay. Unprocess your diet. Final one before we take a break and do our testimony. Tackle your food addictions. SOS. Salt, oil, and sugar. The problem with going vegan for most people, or vegetarian, or just giving up meat, or pescatarian, whatever, is that you can still retain your addictions to salt, oil, and sugar. Oreos are vegan, potato chips are vegan, pop is vegan, french fries can be vegan, not from McDonald's though, they put beef in it. All of these things, vegan. Teddy Grahams, vegan. Red Bull, vegan. So you can still put a bunch of poison in your body and not eat meat, is my point. So I don't want anybody to think or put somebody on a pedestal because they don't eat meat. That's not impressive. I'm never impressed. I don't care that you don't eat meat and dairy. I need to know what you do eat. You see the difference? Because all of those things can be vegan. So if you are not addressing your addictions to salt, oil, and sugar, it's a problem. So we've drank the water, we've unprocessed our diet, and now we need to attack this salt, oil, and sugar. Let's talk about sugar really quickly. One of the most deadliest things you put in your body every day is refined sugar. Here's what it does. I've already told you, it snatches your memory away and your ability to concentrate with your mind. It extracts moisture from your cells and causes nerve damage or neuropathy. Okay? It shuts down your immune system for 4 to 6 hours after you consume it. Okay? It causes inflammation in your body. If you have chronic joint pain, back pain, knees, elbow, whatever, something's always hurting, and you're constantly pouring sugar into your body every day, you're only making it worse every single day. Sugar, inflammation, period. Acidity in your body. When you create an acidic environment in your body, it lays the foundation for chronic disease to thrive. Sugar feeds cancer. Sugar feeds non-cancerous tumors like fibroids. So if you're putting the sugar in your body, you have no idea the damage you're doing every single day. It is the worst thing you can do. Now ask me about sugar. What kind of sugar? When I say refined, what am I talking about?
Sugar bag.
Oh, sugar, I heard white sugar. That sugar there. What else?
Complex carbs.
No, not complex carbs. No, refined stuff. What's processed sugar? Well, what do you guys buy in the store? I mean, so what are you cooking? What are you adding to your desserts? You don't buy high fructose corn syrup. No, you don't go to
in drinks and stuff.
Yeah, you're right. That is, but I'm saying, what do we buy? Because people think, for example, but what about coconut sugar? What about date sugar? No, I'm saying though. What about raw sugar? What about turbinado sugar? Huh? Is anybody under the impression that any of those are healthy? I just had a client the other day.
Brown
She,
sugar.
huh?
Brown sugar.
Healthy? Is it healthy?
Okay.
Like I look like I'm supposed to say no. I think I'm supposed to say negative. So I had a client the other day. When clients come on with me, they're required to log everything they eat and drink. And so when we hop on our weekly coaching call, I can go on my computer and I can see what they've been eating. And I had a client. She was putting she was doing her oatmeal, right? So at least I eat oatmeal every morning. I'm like, okay, what's in it? Well, I like to add a little bit of brown sugar, and a little small pat of butter, not much, a little salt. Now, oatmeal by itself, phenomenal, right? But remember, we ruin a good thing with condiments, don't we? And so she was dumping literally brown sugar. She said, isn't that healthier? I said, then what? That's the question, healthier than what? So understand that all the refined stuff, and when I say refined, I mean the granulated stuff, right? Sugar doesn't come like that, right? If it does, that's not its original form, right? Meaning it's been processed. Something had to happen for it to get like that, right? So it's been extracted from its original source, isolated and concentrated, making it a narcotic. Okay, so sugar is a narcotic. Let's be clear about that. It's a drug, okay? And y'all all users, right? Right? Everybody in here, guilty. So the brown sugar, the raw sugar, the white sugar, the turbinado sugar, the coconut sugar, the date sugar, I don't care what the original source was. We manipulated that plant so that we can extract this one substance and make it more potent and make your brain eat it and make you do things like what happens when you try and give up sugar? Anybody ever tried to give up refined sugar? You crave it.
You eat more.
You eat more. What else?
We cranky.
Come on now, crazy. Let's be honest. Mood swings, headaches. Everybody ever gave up caffeine or sugar and had headaches? Those are literally withdrawal symptoms. You're having a physiological response to an addiction. Does that make sense? Anybody ever gave up kale or asparagus? I'm just saying, because that's how you know when it's a problem. If you give it up and you have a physiological response to it. I mean, I know you have the mental, you think about it, you say addictive stuff, like, I can't have this, right? I gotta stay away from it. I know that happens, but the response in your body is telling you, hey, we need our drug. That's why you have a headache. That's why you have lethargy. So that physiological response lets you know that this is substance abuse. I want to make it very clear. It just happens to be legal. That's it. It just happens to be legal. But sugar is a narcotic, guys. What's not? 100% raw honey. That's the way it originally comes. We just take it out. If you don't have a problem with disrupting the bees, then we just take it from the honeycomb. It's not manipulated. It's not processed. Nah. It's still sugar. It's still sugar. But it certainly doesn't trigger the same cravings the way the refined stuff does, and it also doesn't have the same impact on you on a cellular level.
Sugar, that honey you can burn off too, right?
Yeah, you mean like working out?
Yes.
Well, you can eventually burn everything off. I wouldn't say
It's a little bit quicker.
potentially. But it's not about weight, is my point. Everything that I listed that sugar does, I didn't say one time weight gain. That's not the biggest concern for me, right? It's the nerve damage, it's the inflammation, it's the feeding, the cancer, it's the Alzheimer's, it's the dementia, it's that stuff. So even somebody at their ideal size, I'm at my ideal size. I'm not as concerned with weight. So the average person will look at me and say, oh, you can afford a piece of pie or a cookie or cake. If you saw me eating a dessert, nobody would blink because you're like, you look like you can eat that. But I don't. So I want you guys to understand the impact outside of the scale. Does that make sense? Which means our children, don't bring the cereal and the cookies and the cake and the ice cream in the house and say, that's for them. I can't have that. It is just as bad for their systems as it is for yours. You're just looking at your body and thinking, I need to lose weight, or I don't want this to go to my hips, or whatever, and you're only thinking about the scale, what I call scoreboard watching. You're so focused on what the scale does when you eat or don't eat something that you're not focused on what it's doing to you from a chronic disease standpoint. The kids can't have that junk either. Everybody understand? Brain development, intelligence, IQ, ADHD, ADD, that is nothing but dyes. Blue number 7, red number 4. The baby don't need meds for ADHD. The baby needs to stop eating Captain Crunch and Fruit Loops. Really, when I go and talk in schools, I tell the teachers that and the parents that. They're like, what? Yes. Stop trying to get them assessed for all of, that's not it. It's the food. So your babies can't have it either. I don't care that they're going to burn it off on the playground. The issue is not their weight. It never has been. It's their intelligence, their IQ, their potential for having autoimmune disease, the fact that they're showing signs of heart disease at 9 years of age. That's the issue. Everybody understand that? Any other questions about sugar?
What about molasses and maple syrup?
100% pure maple syrup, yes. Some people like to rock with raw agave. So here's the thing with agave. Number 1, don't heat them up. Okay? So if you're gonna bake, you can use maple syrup. Me personally, I just like using really ripe fruit. So I made some banana bread last week. I just used really ripe bananas.
What about molasses?
I don't really support molasses either. And the question then becomes too though, what are you guys using this stuff for? What you using molasses for, or honey for, or maple syrup for? Oatmeal. Sweetener on what? Why do you need the sweetness? For what? Oatmeal? What else? Smoothie? No. No, don't add any sweetness to your smoothie. Absolutely not. No. What else? That's it? Okay, because in your smoothie, first of all, smoothies and juices are good. And when I say juices, I mean like green juice. I don't mean like orange juice and apple juice. That's crap. That's all sugar. I mean like a green juice that you guys would pay $9 for, right? They, number 1, need to be 75% for plants. I don't want to see blueberry, strawberry, pineapple, no, that's all sugar. The problem is the absence of fiber, okay? So the absence of the fiber is what's going to make our blood sugar levels go up. So us adding sweetener to it, and we're already drinking something that's been liquefied, meaning we're not chewing the flesh or we're not getting the fiber, we're just causing a blood sugar spike, okay? So if we're making a smoothie or a juice, it needs to be 75% plants, 1 fruit, some nuts, some seeds, whatever, your chia, your flax, your hemp, whatever you want. But do not think that drinking your vegetables is equivalent to chewing them.
So they're not juicing?
You can juice. I'm not anti-juice. I'm just anti-only juice. Okay? So you have to chew and liquefy the food in your mouth and swallow so you can create that nitric oxide, which is going to protect the lining of your arterial wall. Okay? So chewing is exceptionally beneficial. Chewing and drinking are totally different. You need to liquefy food in your mouth. Okay? Yes, ma'am.
Fresh fruit, can you have too much sugars in those?
Fresh fruit?
Watermelons, candles.
Eventually. But the issue is, fresh fruit is good because you're eating the flesh. So when you say, can you have too much sugar? Yes, again, as I said earlier, too much anything, of course. But with it being in its original form, and you're chewing, you're getting all the fiber. Does everybody know the correlation between carbohydrates and fiber? Because carbohydrates comes in 2 forms, starch and fiber. When we say we low carb or no carb, what we really mean is we're low starch. You guys are afraid of rice and potatoes and bread and pasta, right? That's all starch. Fruits and vegetables are carbohydrates too. 65% of your caloric intake should be carbohydrates actually. But we just think of carbs as the stuff that puts weight on us. But carbs are also fiber. So if you were to look on a loaf of bread, for example, and it says one slice is also 8 grams of fiber. That means that 1 slice of bread only is 12 carbs. You always subtract the fiber from the carbohydrates. So when you eat the fresh fruit, you're getting all the fiber with it, which means the sugar from the fruit is going to drip into your bloodstream like a broken faucet. Drip, drip, drip. But when you drink the juice or eat the Snickers bar, it's like turning on a faucet. And it just runs into your bloodstream. Does that make sense? So yes, you get sugar from fresh fruit, but in conjunction with the fiber and all the other micronutrients that are in it, the absorption is very different. Your pancreas doesn't have to release that insulin so fast, and you now are not storing that excess sugar as fat.
You said you made banana.
Bread. I have a recipe in my recipe book.
So regular flour or particular type of flour?
Oh, I use oat flour. I literally take oatmeal and grind it down to this flour. Just blend it real quick to this flour, and that's what I use. What?
I'm just laughing, 'cause that's a lot of work.
Is it?
But you know what you said though, is that's really
It
important.
takes 2 seconds.
Convenience is killing.
Right, yeah, I agree, yeah.
But that's a lot of work. So put some flour in the blender real quick. I mean, so put some oatmeal in the blender. I don't add nothing. I just literally blend whole oats.
Yes.
But you do it one time and store it, and now you got flour for
Oh, okay, you just do it in bulk and just have it.
Yeah, you can.
All right.
That's
Repairs.
And what's wrong with a little work to live a little longer? 'Cause I'm going for 120. I don't know how long y'all plan on being here, but yeah, I'm not into that 89, 90 stuff. I just be getting started.
A couple of things. Those, they're not candy bars, but they're like oat,
Granola bars?
granola and whatever. What is your thoughts on that?
Too much sugar.
That's
Yeah, make your own. Yes. So you can make your own with just oatmeal and a nut butter, like almond butter or peanut butter or cashew butter, whatever. And then you can add like nuts and seeds to it and make your own. I do it all the time, and it's really simple.
Now, I've been called crazy, but I don't know if it's an addiction or whatever, but I eat oatmeal right out the box. I don't cook it.
Okay.
And I go through probably 2 of those big oatmeal containers a month.
Okay.
And I don't know, to me it seems like it's done wonders for me. I just pour it in my hand and eat it. I don't cook it. I don't put nothing with it. Am I strange or?
I don't think so.
Tasty.
Yeah, and you know what you're doing that most Americans, 90% of Americans aren't doing, is you're getting your daily recommended intake of fiber. See, men need 30 grams of fiber a day, women need about 25. Average American is not getting nowhere near that. So it's doing you wonders because a high amount of fiber that's in it. And so that's great. Now, you could still be getting, I don't know what else you eat. It doesn't mean that you're not nutrient deficient somewhere else. I don't know how many plants you eat, fruits and vegetables, of course. I don't know the sum of your diet. But the fiber is exceptional. Exceptional. Yeah. And depending on how many other starch, how much other starch you get throughout the day, I wouldn't even necessarily say, because most people would think that and say, oh, too much starch, or too many carbs. But I wouldn't necessarily say that because you could be getting a ton of fiber from other places, and that's what slows down the absorption of the starch. So I think it's okay. But we need to see what else you're doing. Because diversity, remember, is important. We need to eat the rainbow. We need to eat raw and cooked. We need to eat whole and juiced. So diversity. Okay, one more question before we break. Any other questions about sugar, fruit? What about it? I don't eat seedless fruit. Well, it's genetically modified. So the seed is the reproductive system of the fruit, right? And your food should have a reproductive system. Okay. So when it doesn't have the seed in it, it's been genetically modified. It's called a genetically modified organism, right? So that it doesn't have to grow from the ground and take as long, right? So it's still growing from the ground, but it's been manipulated so that we can produce more quickly, right? Or they may have taken 2 fruits or vegetables and paired them together. Like many fruits and vegetables are hybrids, like carrots and broccoli. Those aren't real, right? Like you can still eat them, but they're not. That's not how they originally grew in the wild, right? So many things are hybrids. So if your food, like your oranges and your grapes, don't have a seed, that means they don't have a reproduction. reproductive system, and that's a problem. Because they're living organisms at once they work their way on the planet. So I personally don't eat seeds stuff. Okay. All right, any final questions? I know Ben wants to do the testimonials. And if you guys want to stick around, I'll go grab the things, labels out the car so we can look at a couple food products and actually make this practical. Okay, so SOS, salt, oil, and sugar. We can talk about oil and salt when I come back up. And then unprocess your diet, and then water. Everybody got it?
When I did my weight loss, I drink 2 glasses of water and I eat off the salt. I hope to go to vegan one day, but I just eat fish, turkey, and chicken. It's really good. Cooking.
Sure, I'll be right there.
I'm getting ready to have some testimonials. I'm gonna have Chip come up and talk about his venture on dialysis. Then Kyle, then I'm gonna have Linda Thomas come up and speak about her transplant. Come on, Chip.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm happy to be here. I'll see me around the gym. Just to piggyback on what she was saying about nutrition and everything, I'm a firm believer that deprivation equals preservation. You can deprive yourself, you can preserve yourself. And I know we're all grown, and nobody tell me what, and that's the problem that a lot of us have is when we go in the store and we see those ice creams and stuff, and we're like, "Ain't nobody tell me I can't have that," and we take it home. So when you can deprive yourself, you can preserve yourself. And I always had a saying about if it's white, it ain't right. We're talking about milk, white bread, sugar, salt, cocaine, if it's white, it ain't right. And that's a good saying to have. But this is my 5th year of dialysis. And it's been a journey to go through. There's been a lot of people I've spoken to, and I've heard this many times, you don't look like a dialysis patient, some of the things I do around here, and the consistency that I have here. I just have a strong will to live. And I have known about 12 or 13 people that have died that were going to the centers that I went to. Fairlane, and then over here at Henry Ford. And had an issue a couple weeks ago where a guy basically passed away, but they were able to get the paddles on it, and they were able to bring it back, and it was just strange to be sitting there looking at that. I've always tried to encourage other people. Even my family, I can't imagine why I'm in this. And I don't have a why me attitude, but how did it happen? Because I always felt I was doing the right thing as far as working out and things like that. But there were some things that happened during that time that I over-medicated at a hospital. I had an injury once. I was living in California, and the guy rear ended me in the back. I was having chronic back pains and everything. Your kidneys are there. And all of a sudden, they said they were finding protein in my urine, which means my kidneys weren't filtering properly. And fast forward, that's what happened. The kidneys are such a remarkable organ, and you get 2 of them. And it's filtering your body 24/7. I go Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'm in the chair 4 hours. And off on the weekends and Tuesday, Thursdays. But your body is constantly cleaning itself, which is remarkable. And in my years of being on that and knowing people, I know a gentleman hasn't peed in 5 years. I know a woman that hasn't, your body stopped doing things. Your libido goes. It's a whole lot of things that happen to you physically when that kidney starts malfunctioning. And because of the weight of your blood, it's able to go through your kidney. The kidney draws out all the poison and send that blood back into your body. Most filters, if you pour water through a filter, but your blood being a different rate, it actually goes through the remarkable machine, the kidney machine. It saved many lives. But it will eventually take your life the longer you want it. I would have to think that everyone in here either knows someone that's been on dialysis or had kidney problems or something like that. It's just what's happening right now. And to be very honest with you, in the centers I've been in and people I've spoken to, it's full of us. And I mean black people. And I don't know what the diet is or whatever, but I'm just being very honest with you because that's what I've seen. And you see people coming in there on gurneys and wheelchairs and decapitated, both legs, everything, getting kidney treatment. I know people that go and sit in that chair all those hours, and when they leave, they go right over to the liquor store and get them some liquor, and they go home. And they drink it. People just don't stop. What got them there? And so in what Lisa was saying and changing your lifestyle, it's very important that you do that. Now that I'm in this and I've accepted it, to me it's just an inconvenience. That's how I look at it. I'm going to still come here. I'm praying every day for a successful transplant this year. And I thank my God for all the successful treatments I've had over these years. I'm in my 5th year. And when I got diagnosed, in that couple days span, I would get ready to go to bed. And I'm laying down, and usually I sleep on my stomach, and I couldn't take a breath. And I got worried. I was like, okay. So I go in the kitchen, couldn't breathe. And the next night, bedtime. Oh man, and to be able to, now when they come to me and say, can you take a deep breath? And I go, it's an amazing thing. Because when that fluid get on your body, you can't do that. It's like putting your heart in a glass of water with a lid on. It's trying to see your heart go like this. You can't do it with the water and fluid, even on your lungs. So your ankles swell, your body's retaining fluid. And that's the worst. And that fluid is poison. So it was just a tough thing, and I finally made it over to the hospital, and the doctor came in and said, I got some good news and some bad news. And I said, well, what's the bad news? Whatever, just get whatever you want. He said, well, I'm going to give you the good news. The good news is you got here when you did. Because you were about to go. And then they said, we have to give you a blood transfusion. Your hemoglobin is down to about 7 or 8. I said, I'm not taking a blood transfusion. Because I had heard, I don't want to, blood is contaminated, blah, 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 blah. So the nurse said, sir, let me just say this to you. You either sign this paper for this transfusion, or we can start working on your obituary. And I said, okay. She gave me 2 blood transfusions. She came in with the packets, asked me my name, and she loaded them up in me. About 15 minutes after I got those transfusions, I'm getting up. My mother's weeping, some relief. I was feeling so good when that blood got in me. I wasn't having any oxygen in my body. My hemoglobin was gone. And the nothing was happening. My body was shutting down on me. So I'm thankful and grateful that I always say this, and I mean, Henry Ford saved my life, and fitness work saved my life. Because being able to come here and have this venue, and when I got out the hospital, what I started doing, I started walking 28 miles a week. I lived down on the boulevard. I would drive around those islands in the middle, and 6 laps was 4 miles. And I would do that every day. Rain, cold weather, I'm out there walking. Everybody, they start calling me walking in the neighborhood. I'm walking. And that got me back, and then I found Fitness Works. And they have a track, and so I started walking, and here people would see me up there constantly walking. So I was committed to stay alive and to just try to keep myself going until this happened. Never had a history of bad kidneys in my family. No one. I was always the athletic guy, played football in high school, a little bit in college, and you know, I was just always about health and everything. How does that happen? But I had to get rid of that attitude. So it's a very tough thing, and especially the people that's going through it, but you can survive and you can feel good about yourself if you do what they tell you to do. And cut out all this stuff that you were doing before. You have to stop. You got to find a way. Now, I'm going to show you guys something, and just to show you, because I'm a real person. And I want, ladies, don't rush up on me. But this is where I get my treatment. Right here in my arm. You see it? That's called a fistula. And it's gotten really big and thick. I almost feel like 2 golf balls. They put a needle in there and a needle on the top. And that goes to the machine. And I sit there for 4 hours with that in my arm every day that I go. And some people get what they call a graft. There's different types of dialysis. You can get what's called peritoneal, which is you can get some tubes put in your stomach area about here, and you can do it at home. And you have to drain a bag, and the bag goes through, and then you have another catheter where it drains into a bucket, and you just pour it out. That cleanses you. And then you have what's called the peritoneal lining, which is in your stomach. That is another way of dialysis. But there's a lot of bureaucracy, there's a lot of money involved. That's why they have people on dialysis so long. In the state of Michigan, you have to be on dialysis for 5 years before you're considered for a kidney. That's the story they tell you when you get on there. A lot of other states, it's a lot quicker. But that's all about money. My treatments are around $4,000 a day. So I'm treated 3 times a day, so about $12,000 a week. That's a lot of money. So the best I can tell you guys is that, you know, a lot of it is attitude. How you decide to move forward beyond this. Get the right state of mind. I learned so much here today. I got a bag of sugar at home now. I just picture myself pouring that in the sink when I get it. As soon as I walk in the door, I'm gonna cut that bag and I'm pouring it in the sink. And I'm done with it. And anyone with any questions about my journey?
Well, just wondering, so did you go for like the yearly checkups and blood tests or blood work before you found out that this problem was so severe that you couldn't breathe and all that? What was
I was not one of those men that didn't go to the hospital. I always went to my checkups, and I had a wife that insisted I did that as well, and then 3 children. So I wanted to be as healthy as I could. So I always would go to the doctor and all that, but I did have that issue where I had the accident on the freeway, and for years, around February, March, I could see a pencil on the floor and bend down to pick it up, and I'm on the floor for 4 days. I can't move. I've been carried out of my house 5 times on a stretcher because I couldn't get up. They would bring my food to the floor to eat. It was the most chronic thing that ever happened to me. I mean, spasms racing down your back. I mean, I would wish that on nobody. But I went through with that because you never knew when it was going to hit you.
So the accident more or less damaged your kidney.
I don't know. I'm just saying that I'm looking at some of the events that happened during the
Yeah.
time, and right after that, they said, you know what? I went in for a checkup, and I had to give urine, and they said, we see some proteins in your urine. And when they said that, didn't really ring a bell too much with me, but all of a sudden, it progressed. And the proteins, and then speaking to the doctors, and when they see the proteins in your urine, you on the stage of getting ready to start having kidney failure. Because your kidney's not filtering it out of your body. So if you ever go to the doctor and they say, we see some proteins in your urine, you know. And I'll tell you this, last year this time, I would normally pee in urinals because I like to measure. And I was doing about 2 urinals, year and a half a day. I got down to less than a half a urinal. Remember I was saying about the people I know that can't pee, guys, I ain't peed in 5 years, 6 years, you know, that kind of thing. That's the stuff that happened. I get a lot of fluid out of me because I go to the sauna, the steam room, things like that, and I go to my treatment. So sometimes I have to be careful with that because one thing about dialysis is the cramping in your body. And you can get some cramps that you feel like you're about to die. I have jumped out of bed many times, 3, 4 in the morning. Legs locked up, trying to walk, trying to just get it out of my legs, cramped up.